Kaa Iya. It's not easy. You may not have heard of Kaa Iya, but it is one of the largest reserves in South America, the biggest in Bolivia, and the size of Belgium. It is home to 130 species of mammal and 300 species of birds, but that doesn't mean they're easy to find, as we found out on a visit in March 2025. We had been due to visit Jaguarland with Nick's Adventures, but due to devastating floods early in the month, the camp was underwater, so we were offered an alternative, Kaa Iya. We flew to Santa Cruz, Bolivia's largest and most prosperous city. On our rest day, we decided to visit the botanical gardens. It's a nice way to spend a few hours, and we were enjoying the capuchins, when suddenly, what's this? A three-toed sloth going about his business, and he wasn't bothered by us at all. So this is the Santa Cruz Botanical Gardens, which is probably somewhere you should visit if you're in town. It's a 30-minute Uber from the centre, and that cost us around, I don't know, £5 English. We've seen quite a bit. The main reason for coming was for sloth, which we've also seen some nice tortoise, some snakes, lizards, and some nice birds, parakeets, oropendae, and cardinals. It is buggy, so if you do come, make sure that you bring plenty of repellent. The following morning, we were picked up by the team from Nick's Adventures and driven the 4 hours east to the town of San Jose de Chiquitos. So here we are at San Jose, where we're going to have some lunch, and we've been very fortunate in as much as we've found a petrol station that A has gasoline and B doesn't have a 2-day queue for it. This is Jorge, our guide, who has an enthusiasm for all things nature and loads of energy. He certainly enhanced our trip. It was then a further drive on the dirt road cut through the jungle by the gas company who operate within the national park. We arrived at the camp, which was to be our base for the next 3 days. It was basic but comfortable. We soon discovered that all the wildlife viewing takes place along the one road which runs alongside the gas pipeline. You may be in an area the size of Belgium, but you genuinely aren't going to see a lot of it. Access to this road was controlled by the gas company, to whom we had to register every time we set out on a game drive. Once we were on the trail, we were able to get out of the truck and carry out our wildlife viewing on the roof, which we thoroughly enjoyed. But boy was the bush thick. It was obvious that we were not going to see anything unless it stepped out of the road, or was at least very, very close. is where the magic happens. Say hi, Natalie. Hey. After each game drive, we returned to camp, where we were served up delicious food by our chef Natalie. There was some productive wildlife viewing to head around the camp, where we also saw taco toucans and crab-eating foxes. Here we are at the bridge, 45 minutes from camp. Some lovely yellows. Well, if we don't see a jaguar, we've seen some jaguar poo, and it's fresh. This, and some fresh pug marks, were the closest we got to seeing any cats. But we did find some TT monkeys. We did have several encounters, but they were always very wary. In a slightly different, more open area, we found some Chacoan peccaries, a species much sought after on these trips, but getting close to them was pretty tricky. Each evening, we carried out a night drive, which enabled us to look for more nocturnal species, such as nightjars and potus. And tarantula. It was great to be on the roof just enjoying the sounds of the night. But it was the frogs that were the highlight of the trip, especially with Jorge's enthusiasm for them, especially two particular species, Pac-Man and Freddy Krueger. Have a listen.
Freddy Krueger. We have two Freddy Krueger and Pac-Man. Wow, this is so cool.
And the frogs also provided a wonderful evening chorus.
Oh, he's so beautiful. Full of Pac-Mans.
The area around the airstrip was probably the only truly open area that we visited, and there were some interesting birds in the vicinity. On our last afternoon drive, there were thunderheads developing ominously on the horizon. Yep, this was still the wet season. Yeah. 6, 1, thunderstorm. The next morning, it was time to take the 6-hour drive back to Santa Cruz. Wildlife spotting had been hard work, and if you want to see a jaguar, the Pantanal is by far a better bet. But we had a huge area to ourselves, and Jorge's enthusiasm was infectious. Also, a big thanks to Natalie for her great cooking, and Jose Luis for all the driving. So why did we visit in the wet season? Well, our primary reason for visiting Bolivia was to visit the salt flats, in a hope that we would get those reflections, which only happen at this time of year. And that part of the trip, fantastic. Okay,